So what is the ultimate goal? I was sitting down with a friend the other day, and I guess I was chatting through what's going to be the ultimate goal. And I think the ultimate goal for me, and I think for most people, is to be paid for who they are. Not who their parents think they should be, not who their friends think they are, not who society is pushing them to be, but actually genuinely who they are, and to be paid for it. It's one thing to be yourself. It's a whole nother thing to build a career out of it. Two parts. The question is, how do we discover who we are? And then how do we also get paid for it? Starting with the first one, I see it as you need to break down a bit of a purpose Venn diagram. Now, the purpose Venn diagram is what's going to help you connect things that you're naturally good at, things that you enjoy, things that you actually like, with things that the world need. Things that over time people could actually pay you for. Because ultimately, to be paid, you need to be solving some sort of problem, and to solve some sort of problem, there needs to be pain. Without the existence of pain, there is no problem to solve, so we cannot get paid. So starting with our purpose Venn diagram, the first circle we will focus on is what energizes you. When I think of things that energize me, I think of travel. Being overseas, that's a big one. I think of training. I've always loved training since I was 14. I was just going to the gym and I just fell in love with the delayed gratification and the dopamine that training gives you. Next one for me is people. People actually energize me. I've always been naturally extroverted. Another thing is from a young age, I've always found myself willing and able to teach other people. I've actually enjoyed the process of teaching. I think I reinforced my learning habit through teaching, which has been a way for me to effectively communicate with other people. And even early on, when I was working out and figuring out how to try new things, I loved the process of showing someone else. And I remember writing down when I was finishing school, I said, if money wasn't a thing, I would love to be a teacher. If school teachers were paid appropriate to the amount of value they deliver, which I think should be significantly more, I would have been a teacher. So I realized travel, fitness, people, and teaching were all going to be components of my life. They were all things that energized me. Next, I think about what am I world class at? Or at least willing to become world class at. Now, if I think about a decade of training to lean on, that's 10 years of dedicated time. Granted, over that time, I've tried different modalities, from calisthenics to weightlifting, to powerlifting, to bodybuilding, to running, but they all have a common theme, which is around self-improvement and around performing at my physical best. So I realized that to be great at something, or at least to become world class, I was gonna need to dedicate. I was gonna need to do my 10,000 hours. And I looked across the life of things that I have done, and fitness seemed to be a reoccurring theme. It was the thing that had stayed the most consistent over the past decade of my life. This also seeped into areas of knowledge that I thirst for. There was a natural obsession and a desire to obtain skills in this area. I cared about my nutrition. I cared about my training efficiency. I cared about my breath work. It became something that I couldn't shut up about. And it was a great indication for me that it was something I was willing to become world class at, or at least spend my life figuring out how I could get pretty damn close. The next is, what problem do you feel called to serve? When you look out into the world and you think about all of the problems that people face, what is something you wish you could solve for other people? Often when I think about this, I think of what is something that has been relatively easy for you to solve for yourself. Or it could be something that has been very difficult and you've gone through a long process to solve. In both solving something with natural ease or solving something with difficulty, aka you've had to overcome something, we can find a lot of problems that likely we can solve for other people. When I think of my own health and fitness journey, I went from a chubby kid who grew up as never the most athletic, having lost long distance running races at school carnivals, to someone who then was known for their ability to push through. I looked around and saw a world of highly processed food, of people spending more time on their laptop and less time exercising and outdoors, and I saw an opportunity. I saw a problem that needed solving. As people age and as we continue to grow older, we want to live longer and feel better. I saw a rising population and I saw many declining biomarkers in our health. This felt like a calling that was natural for me to solve, a problem that the world needed solving and something I was well equipped to address. The lastly, and one of the more difficult to understand, is what will pay me outrageously well. Now, when I think about health and solving health, you've got to think of the different markets and verticals inside health. The person in their 50s who's been told by a doctor if they do not solve their health crisis, they are going to have to undergo serious surgery or some serious medical procedure that is going to cost thousands, if not tens of thousands of dollars. Now that is a segment by preventative health measures would pay you outrageously well to fix. This is compared to the 18-year-old that wants to get in shape for summer. Depending on the duration and the depth of pain experienced by the individual, we can charge varying prices. I saw the world moving online and the trust that we can gain through creating content on a phone or on a camera and sharing it with the world. I saw an ability to scale a business in fitness, solving health problems at scale rather than limited to what was inside a gym floor of the old PT model. I saw the in-person PT model going out as more people were willing to work online. COVID rapidly accelerated this change and our adoption and willingness to work with technology to solve a lot of our major problems, including fitness. When I saw this, I knew I would be able to get paid well for solving health problems online. So that's when I started my account. I built Alfie Gets Hard to 100,000 followers in 100 days. I started documenting my own health journey, knowing that one day I would be able to inspire and potentially train other people who are just starting theirs. The great thing about social media and the digital era that we live in is I truly believe that anyone who has identified a clear passion that energizes them and they are willing to become world-class at, or at least strive towards, can make significant income online through either documenting the process of becoming world-class or leaning on your existing authority and driving your credibility through time, certification, or impact in your life or your clients' lives. You can build and position yourself as a trusted voice in your space. There is over 5 billion people on social media and only 250 million content creators. The supply and demand of content has never been bigger. I guarantee that there are people with the same interests, the same area of focus, that either want to live vicariously through you as you document becoming world class, or they want to learn from you as an existing authority in your space. So I encourage you to be paid for who you are, find what energizes you, determine what you are willing to become world class at or already are, understand what problems you are drawn to solve, and find which ones will pay you outrageously well. Good luck. If you already know what energizes you and what you're willing to become world class at, or maybe you already are, click the link below to the Authority versus Documentation quiz. In this quiz, it's going to help you understand your positioning for content and show you the pathway for you to create content as efficiently as possible as your first step towards your content creation journey.